Oh, so you're saying that he put a clause in there that potentially his opponent is going to be dehydrated when he fights him?
Yes.
What? I didn't know about that.
If you go back and look at the video, Jake Paul moves his glove. Tyrone Willie did a little hand nod. And
are you trying to say that was staged?
I don't know if it was staged, but he went to sleep. You don't get knocked out like that. You don't put your hand up and then put it down for a clean shot.
I'm sure I just introduced Andrew Tate to you a week ago.
Yes, as far as him being a kickboxer, but I've been watching some of the things he talk about. And
do you agree with it?
I mean, that's neither here nor there. Everybody got their own view.
What's up, y'all? So welcome to another episode of Heroes and Stuff Hit the Streets. Today we are with a well-known boxing and MMA coach, Marcus Hicks. This guy at one point was one of the best lightweights in the world in mixed martial arts, but he has wins in boxing, jiu-jitsu, and mixed martial arts. So if you want some really tactical training, really realistic training, he's seen fights in all different kinds of arenas. So feel free to stop by his gym in Louisville. Anything else you want to say about your gym before we start the video?
Yep. We're located in Carrollton.
In Carrollton. I didn't know. I just became a student, right?
No, you've been a student for over 20 years, I think.
And I was a student when he didn't have this beautiful facility that we see here. His old school was in Louisville. That's why I'm saying Louisville. So today we're going to talk about Jake Paul. So first I want to ask you, what do you think of Jake Paul and his boxing career in general? Being somebody who's competed in boxing at a professional level and at an amateur level, what do you think of Jake Paul boxing?
I think he's all right. He's getting, he's learning on the job. So his skills aren't bad. He's knocking guys out, so we know he at least got power.
But what do you feel about who he's calling out? He's calling out celebrities. Then he called out like an MMA fighter. Everybody's shorter than him. How does that make you feel as a boxer?
I mean, he's most definitely picking the right opponents to make his career grow, but that's what they do in boxing. I mean, he's not doing nothing new that someone else wasn't doing. He's just getting millions of dollars for it. I mean, on top of that, I think he's bringing people back to boxing because they want to watch him. Before boxing was kind of fading off a little bit, and now he's bringing it back. So, love him or hate him, he's still bringing people back to the game. And
your boxing peers, you think they feel the same way?
No. They don't feel like that. They feel like he's skipping line, making all the money, and he's just promoting himself a little different.
Jake Paul versus his next opponent. Who do you think will win? I'm sure you've seen footage of their training and everything. So, in your opinion and in your experience, who you think is winning that fight?
I mean, I like not to choose one because I'm kind of on the fence. I don't think Jake Paul is going to pick him, bringing him to the match not knowing he's going to win. He's got a rehydration clause in there.
What?
So if he rehydrates over 10 pounds, he's got to pay a lot more money or the fight don't happen. So Jake Paul's already put a lot of things into his favor. He keeps calling him a heavyweight because that's what I think Hasim normally fights at. But that rehydration clause is going to keep him below that normal, and I don't know how that's going to affect him.
Oh, so you're saying that he put a clause in there that potentially his opponent is going to be dehydrated when he fights him?
Yes.
What? I didn't know about that. Okay.
Saying that, I feel like Hasim should win, but that rehydration clause makes me think Jake Paul might be able to be normal to get the win.
If you have, I think this guy has 12 fights, 1 loss, and he has like over 100 amateur fights. Having that much experience, doesn't that help you with your weight cut? Like, don't you think he has a system going now where he can make that weight with no problem?
I think he's most definitely going to make the weight with no problem, but that rehydration clause is going to stop him from being back to his natural self. Jake Paul sees something, or when they sparred or whatever happened, that he feels like he's going to win the fight. He's not going to that ring thinking, I got a chance of losing.
Hey.
I mean, because I even thought with that Tyrone Willie fight would have been a better fight.
Nope. And Tyrone looked like he didn't box, though. It kind of surprised me because he wasn't moving his head or anything.
He had way faster hands. I mean, I just know, if you go back and look at the video, Jake Paul moves his glove. Tyrone Woodley did a little hand nod, and
Are you trying to say that was staged?
I don't know if it was staged, but he went to sleep. You don't get knocked out like that. You don't put your hand up and then put it down for a clean shot.
I'm sure I just introduced Andrew Tate to you a week ago.
Yes, as far as him being a kickboxer, but I've been watching some of the things he talk about. And
Do you agree with it?
I mean, that's neither here nor there. Everybody got their own view.
All right, so Andrew Tate, going viral on YouTube, he called Jake Paul out. And I think he offered him $2 million to a fight. Jake Paul didn't take that fight. But
$3 million.
$3 million?
$3 million.
Okay. So if they eventually fight, who do you think is winning between Andrew Tate and Jake Paul?
I mean, if there's no rehydration clause and all that, I'm probably going to go with Andrew Tate. Only because he was knocking boys out in kickboxing. I mean, and his ego is real. Like, if you ever listen to him talk, he believes he's all alpha.
So if you were Jake Paul and let's say you beat Hasim, would you take the Andrew Tate fight?
Nah, I'd probably just keep winning. I mean, if he's really that competitive as he say he is, and the money that you're making, you can fight whoever you want. Go fight a smaller Canelo. Somebody if you beat him, can't nobody question you anymore. Fight the dude that lost to, fight the dude that beat Canelo. Yeah. Those guys, you gotta realize he's either picking guys that are past their prime or that don't look that great. Yeah. I mean, Hasim, when I watch him work out, if you just look at the workouts, you'd be like, Jake Paul's going to kill him. But then you look at them boxing, you start thinking Hasim got a chance, so I kind of feel like he knows who he's picking. I mean, and plus with the way it's going, when he knocked out Tyrone Woodley, he gave him a watch before the fight. That was a super expensive watch. I mean, everybody.
You think it was staged? You think Tyrone Woodley should have? He got knocked out on purpose?
I feel like that. I mean, you got to realize Tyrone Woodley has some of the fastest hands in MMA. And he's super athletic. He didn't even use no movement.
Yeah, he didn't move his hands.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying, but these guys they're getting paid their biggest paydays. Let's say they are getting bought off. They're getting their biggest paydays over a long career in one fight with Jake Paul.
Yeah, I do think I heard Tyrone Woodley made more in that boxing fight than he ever made in any of his MMA fights. And he was a champion for 5-6 years?
Probably all his fights together. Okay. Like, so you got to realize these guys, I mean, everybody loves fighting, but some of these guys are looking at the fact like, yeah, I can fight this YouTuber, I lose. You got to think about it. Once the fight's over, nobody remember that fight anymore anyways.
Everybody remember Nate Robinson getting knocked out.
Well, that's true, too. But you got to realize,
I haven't even seen him since.
Right, but all the memes, you can't help it. But I mean, but when you think about it, think about the Tyrone Woodley fight. It ain't really. That was a devastating knockout. It ain't going off like that. But guess what? Tyrone Woodley made millions. He ain't worried about that knockout. He can do things he couldn't do now. I mean, I want to see Jake Paul fight somebody on an even playing field, and let's see what you really made of. He's talking about fighting Mike Tyson in that exhibition. Mike Tyson gonna have to carry him.
Right. Jake Paul thought about going to MMA to fight like Conor McGregor's, but like in an MMA fight. Would you advise Jake Paul to make the transition over to MMA?
I mean, I think he can. I mean, I think he's got a wrestling background a little bit.
Yeah, him and his brother wrestled in high school.
Guess what? I mean, if you got wrestling and you wrestled in high school, I mean, that's one of the strongest arts as far as being a combat athlete. So, I mean, wrestling and boxing, that's the most primitive form.
All right, this is really the last question, and this is strictly a boxing question. Why do you think a lot of the top boxers are not boxing each other? Like Crawford, Earl Spence, how come they haven't fought? Davis, Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia. So it's like a lot of boxers that people know seem like they don't fight each other. They fight no-name guys with decent records. Do you think that's hurting boxing, or do you think something should be changed to have them fight each other?
I mean, I think if you're the champion, you should have to fight your mandatories. Ryan Garcia's good, but even Ryan Garcia, if he wants to fight Tank, it's got to be at 135. He just said he was going to go to 140. Mayweather and them said they could make the fight at the end of the year. But you also got Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson. Those four are going to be like the future with the guys coming up. You know, I think the Earl Spence and Crawford fight just comes down to negotiations. And I mean, I think the fight's going to happen, but it's got to make money and it's got to make sense, because somebody's going to lose. Somebody's losing that O.
So you don't think they're ducking each other on purpose?
No, I don't feel like they're ducking each other. I think you got two alpha males, and they want to see who's the best, but it's got to make sense.
All right, so if y'all have any questions for Marcus, leave it in the comments below. Thank you so much for the interview. Check him out in Carrollton, Texas. Real practical training, really practical boxing, kickboxing, and jiu-jitsu training from a guy who's competed in all arenas. Thank y'all for watching. Peace.